This is coming from Jaspreet Singh, who's writing to us from Chandigarh. He wants to know if he can invest in Ashisk Leyland. This is a short-term query. Ashish, your view, is it a good time to enter Ashisk Leyland? If you could give us targets both for short-term as well as long-term?
Yes, Vinisi, currently the stock has shown a very good rise from 140 levels. It formed a base there, went to 160 and now consolidating. Relieved the overbought state. So there is a possibility we might start the third wave higher, which can take price over 175 over near term. And on the downside, the support for the stock is going to be near the gap area of around 149. So from short term perspective, the risk reward is good to enter now. And from a long term perspective, also the stock can move towards the level of 195 or higher from here on. The overall structure and the pattern looks very appealing at the current levels.
Let's move on to the next query.
Yes, absolutely. Because if you look at Tata Power, the stock has retraced nearly 61.8% of the prior rise. From 461, it started correcting and formed a base around 390. So there is a possibility that we should start seeing an upward move from here. It's a good level to enter. A very important price action support at 390. Hold on with that as a support, and on the upside, we can expect a target of around 450 or maybe higher. As far as NTPC is concerned, the movement is very similar to that of Tata Power. Formed a double bottom pattern at 350. Looks like reversing back on the upside. So you can invest more here or add on to the positions, and we can expect a target of 395 on the upside. The support for the stock is going to be at 356.
Okay. Ashish, your view, Vodafone as well as Vedanta for the long term. What's your story, and is it the good time to look at this? Vedanta Aluminium, to be specific.
Right. See, I would look at Vodafone Idea as a risky bet because the stock has already rallied a great from 8.5 levels, already trading around 15. So it looks risky to be entering now. I agree with Gaurangji on entering at Bharti Airtel at these levels rather than Vodafone, because the stock keeps oscillating between this zone, and if you enter at a higher elevated levels, you might again see it going back to 13, 12 or 10 odd levels. So better to avoid Idea, but to enter into Bharti. And with respect to Vedanta Aluminium, there is not much of a price data because this happened recently, and I would suggest to be looking at something like a HINDALCO, which has a much bigger history, and the metal space looks good. I think HINDALCO has also corrected and came towards its prior swing high, which is a very important support. So entering now can be a good decision here, and we can expect HINDALCO to move towards a level of 1100 on the upside in the near term. On the downside, the support for the stock is at 966.
Okay. That's a view coming in there. That's the one coming in on HFCL. We have Sekhar, who's writing to us from Coimbatore, holding 200 shares of HFCL. Price is 125 rupees per share. Wants to know if you can look to add more. Is this a good level maybe to enter HFCL again? We've seen these names actually buzz in the recent times as well, Ashish. So is this a good level to enter? Maybe wait for some bit of a correction.
You rightly said that this stock continues to be in the names, and it has moved towards the level of 212. So my suggestion would be to book out from here, not to add here, because the stock can reverse equally fast. It comes down very quickly, and before you can think of, it is already down. So my suggestion would be you are making a good amount of money from here. It's better to be out from here and park somewhere a more stable investment. And IT is looking like a challenge right now, but park into banking stocks, or you can also look at private sector banks, something like an HDFC Bank or an Axis Bank. That looks much more promising at these current levels.
Okay. On the technicals, PNB, should they continue to hold this, Ashish?
Yes, we can clearly see PNB has bounced back from the double bottom pattern around 100 levels, bounced back from there. The momentum is slow as of now, so there can be some time before we can start seeing a positive uptick. But hold on over here from a long-term perspective. We can expect the stock to move towards the level of around 116 over near term, which is the prior swing high. And on the downside, the support for the stock is at 105 levels.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out on that. Let's move on. Ashish, on the technical front, E2E Networks, is it a good one to enter at right now?
I don't think the person will be able to enter now, because the stock is stuck in an upper circuit with nearly around 124,000 buyers. So I would suggest to avoid any such stock which moves in the form of circuits, because if it goes into circuit down, you are not even able to exit. So my suggestion would be avoid something like this. The chart pattern looks good, but the volatility and the volumes are very erratic.
Okay, that's the view there coming in on E2E Networks. Ashish, on the technicals, Indo Solar, is that a better bet for the long term? And is it a good level to enter that one? Or would you also suggest other names?
See, I would suggest to avoid Indo Solar because the stock continues to move in a circuit, and we can clearly see that it went all the way to 700, corrected to 390. So the stock movement, price movement is not looking good at all. So I would suggest it's better to avoid something like an Indo Solar, and maybe something Acme Solar Holdings looks to be much better placed, and the chart patterns are much clearer, and it has been in an uptrend. So I would suggest to park something into Acme Solar at current levels, which is around 356. We can expect the stock to go up to the levels of around 430 or 440 levels. And on the downside, the support for the stock is at 330.
Okay, Ashish, thanks so much for that. But